Hi there, my name is Petra, and today we're going to be talking about tantrums. First, I'm going to talk about a few things that you should not do, really not do to your child when they're having a tantrum. And after that, I'm going to mention a few things that you might want to try when your child is having a tantrum. So, let's get right into it. First things first, a few things you shouldn't do when your child is throwing a tantrum. Do not ask them to shut up, even if you're saying it nicely. Do not say, "Oh, you're disgracing mommy. Stop this," in a low tune that you think no one is hearing. Maybe no one is hearing, but still, don't do that. If you were crying, if you started crying because maybe your boyfriend left you or your husband asked you for a divorce and someone said, "Shh, stop crying. Don't cry here," how would you feel? Obviously, what your child is going through is not as big as a divorce, but from their perspective, it's as big as a divorce or someone dying. That's what you need to remember. Number two, that you need to not do when your child is throwing a tantrum is bribe them. Do not stop bribing children just to get them to conform to what you want them to do. Because then you wonder why, a lot of people wonder why their children get to a certain age and you can't get them to do anything. They won't listen to you because they'll get to a point where they could buy those sweets for themselves. Then what are you going to do? What are you going to offer after that? Everywhere you go, you hear people say, "Shh, don't cry, I'll give you a sweet afterwards. Just behave, I'll give you sweets afterwards. Or I'll buy you that chocolate that you love so much." I mean, what the hell is that? What is so bad about your child crying? What's so bad about it? Anyways, yeah, those are the two most important things that you really want to try not to do when your child is throwing a tantrum. I understand it is challenging emotionally to handle your child throwing a tantrum, especially when it's in public and you have people giving you side eyes. It doesn't matter. It really does not matter. Just tell yourself when it happens that how I handle this tantrum is me teaching my child how to handle emotions. How would you feel? Let's switch it around actually. If, say, your husband or your wife or your best friend or your boss did something and you feel hurt and they tell you, "Don't cry, I'll give you a raise," if this is your boss. Or if it's your spouse or your whatever. "Don't cry, I'll cook for you tomorrow. Don't cry, I'll buy you flowers. Don't cry, I'll bring you a gift." How would you feel? How would you really, really feel? Because I think when someone is hurting, they just want to be heard and they want to be seen. That's all that they need. And it doesn't matter if this is happening in public. Believe me, if your child had the maturity to not cry in the supermarket, they wouldn't. Let's take the example of my child throwing a tantrum in the middle of the supermarket, rolling herself on the floor. When this happened to me the first times, I did all those things that I said not to do. Don't cry. No, I never bribed her, but don't cry. Shh. Tried to shh her because I felt embarrassed. I had all these emotions rise inside of me. I felt all sorts of ways. I felt like I was a bad mom. I felt like people around were thinking that I was a bad mom. But in reality, you don't know what these people are thinking. And even if that's what they're thinking, it doesn't matter. And it was something that was happening on a recurring basis. And I ended up understanding why she was throwing a tantrum almost at the same time every day at the same place. We had just gone through some major change and children have their own way of processing things. And that's why I really think you should hardwire that into your brain that when your child is throwing a tantrum, they're not trying to disgrace you. They're not trying to make you feel ashamed. They're not trying to do anything to you. It's about them. It's about them. It's also a little bit about you because they help you bring up those emotions that are already inside of you. Because if you feel embarrassed when your child starts to cry in the middle of the supermarket, those emotions were already inside of you. Because, like Wayne Dyer said so beautifully, when you squeeze a lemon, you don't get orange juice. The emotions of embarrassment are already inside of you, and it's something that your child is helping you work through. That's one way of seeing things that makes it so even more beautiful, and it's even more motivating, I think, to handle your children's tantrums well. So what do? You're stuck in this supermarket and your child is crying. I know I said that maybe like 5 times. What do? You need to remember two things. Actually, let's just say it's one thing, two in one. What your child needs from you is to hear them and to see them. And if we wrap that together, they just need you to be present with them. They don't need you to solve anything. They do not need you to solve anything. They're having an emotional response to something that you may not even be conscious of, that you may not even be aware of. Something, it could be something that triggered something that was already bothering them. They're having an emotional response. That's it. And they just need you to be there. Some children like to be hugged. I'm right here, baby. I'm right here. Some don't want to be touched at all. Just get closer to them and just tell them, I'm here with you. Whenever you need a hug, I'm right here. And that's it. That's all you need to do. And it will take a few minutes. Those minutes will feel like an hour. But I promise you, it won't last forever. They will stop crying. And even those that don't want to be touched, when they hear you say, I'm right here with you and I'm right here for you. If you need a hug, I'm right here. They will come up to you and get a hug or let you know that they're ready for the hug. I'm so sorry about the lighting. I should have chosen a better place to shoot my video or a better time, but well, let's do this. They will eventually stop crying and they will learn unconsciously or subconsciously, it will be stored in their minds that emotions are okay. It doesn't matter what you're feeling, it's okay. And you just need to let it flow. And when you let it flow, it just flows out so much faster than when you try to obstruct the flow of the emotions. Just you would be teaching your child such an amazing lesson, and they will learn so much faster to self-soothe. Because if you start bribing them, they will never, ever, ever, ever learn to self-soothe. And that's why we have some crazy people walking around who truly are just children that were never heard or never seen. They just need you to see them and hear them, not bribe them into behaving in a way that makes you happy. It's not about you. If you want it all to be about you, then don't have children. So, to recap, if your child is throwing a tantrum, create the space or provide the space or be the space for them to process whatever they're processing in their minds and their hearts or whatever. Don't think of yourself as a bad parent. It has nothing to do with your parenting skills. Emotions are part of life, are part of being human. You do not want your child to be a robot. If your child is smiling all the time, never cries, never complains about anything, never disapproves of anything that you say or do to or with them, something's wrong. Very, very, very wrong. That child might be severely damaged and has no brain of their own. And I'm sure you don't want your child to be a yes man or a yes woman tomorrow. You want them to have their own mind and to be able to think for themselves and to be able to process emotions in a healthy way and not need to drink alcohol because they were broken up with or because they didn't perform on their job the way they wanted to, or because they didn't get something that they wanted. You don't want them to rely on external things. You want them to be able to rely on themselves. That's what you want to teach your children. Anyways, that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.